I'd love to show you how to attach the clasp to the I cords in the Mudra cuff. This is the same technique for the Mudra cuff and necklace. Right here, I'm holding up the Mudra cuff, which uses a multi-strand clasp with 3 jump rings on each side, and that clasp just pulls apart just like that. So if you've gotten a kit from me, you'll see that that clasp is attached in your kit. If you want to take it apart, just pull it end to end and it'll pop right apart. Super easy. So the first thing that you need to do is follow the pattern and string all of your beads onto your yarn. The next thing that you're going to do is take your clasp and take your thread and just thread your yarn through one of the jump rings on your clasp. If you have a hard time doing this, don't fret. Just use the dental floss threader that you used for getting the beads onto your yarn to then thread the thread through the jump ring. Just use it as a large eye beading needle. Okay? So after you have the clasp on, just slide it down towards your beads a bit. And then take your double pointed needle and give yourself a tail that's not too long, but maybe like 4 to 6 inches long, and put the yarn over your needle. You're going to be doing a long tail cast on with 2 stitches, but since it's only 2 stitches, it gets worked quite quickly. And the thing I don't do with the long tail cast on is I don't start with a slip knot. I just put the yarn over the needle as so, and then I go ahead and I make 1 stitch, just like that. So now all of a sudden I have 2 stitches on my needle, and now I go down my yarn and slide up the clasp, woo, so that it's touching my right hand needle, just like that. And then I take the tail that's hanging down, and I take that tail and I put it through the jump ring that the yarn is already threaded through. I'm going to go out of the screen for a second, okay? I was just licking the end of my yarn so I could easily get it through my jump ring. Sometimes that is the best way to work that. Again, if you have a hard time with that step, use your dental floss threader. Put the yarn onto the dental floss threader and thread it through the hole. So now both strands of yarn are going through that jump ring, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cast on 2 more stitches with my long tail cast on. If you don't know how to work a long tail cast on, then you might want to look at some videos on how to work that. So once you have done that and you have 4 stitches on your needle, you're ready to slide them to the other end of your needle and begin to work the I cord. There you go. So I'm just going in and I'm knitting 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, some of you might notice that I was able to do that quite quickly and easily. One of the reasons I was able to do that is because I'm using needles with a very sharp tip. If you're struggling getting into that first row of stitches, it might be because you need to work with a needle with a sharper tip. Okay? So then you just go ahead, slide to the other end of the needle, and keep working your I cord. The pattern will tell you when it's time to start incorporating beads. Those beads are just slipped up in between the 2 stitches on either side. So if it was time to put a bead up, I would just slip it up right here in the middle, and the pattern tells you how many beads you should be slipping up for each row. Now when you get to the other end of the Mudra cuff, it is the exact same technique where you're using the tail to thread through the clasp again. And that is written out exactly in the instructions. But if you can do one end, you can do the other end. Okay? Happy knitting!